Hello, how's it going? I'm super excited to record today's video because I got a new fancy microphone from my dear boyfriend who loves me and believes in me, and I'm really grateful to have someone like him in my life. So hooray! And we're changing it up though, so this video will sound really cool, probably, hopefully, and then the next two or three will probably sound like they usually did, and then another awesome mic is coming that plugs into a different thing on my iPad, and then hopefully it'll sound real fucking good, and you're welcome. So I'm really happy and excited. Okay, so for today's video, if you don't know, let me catch you up. Saturdays are about being like on a theme. So I had been talking a lot about dealing with noisy neighbors. And really, that's sort of like a Trojan horse, because really what we're dealing with is our own minds. And that's great news. It's a hard pill to swallow at first because we want to blame other people and we say, like, surely if they would shut up, I would be happy. But with more work and managing our minds and understanding of how this stuff works, we actually see that it's the thoughts we're thinking about a situation that's causing our suffering. And this is very good news once we accept this and get on board, because that means that we have the power to change how we feel anytime. And I think that's really badass. So that's what I teach. That's my jam. That's what I practice with myself. By the way, I am a creativity coach and love helping people with this stuff. So if you want to work with me one-on-one, you can, because I'm available for that now. So shoot me an email if you want at amandagoldmakesart@gmail.com. Find out more. It's free to jump on a call with me and just see, if you want to know more about coaching, if you want to know more about me and how I can help and things like that. So check it out if you're so inclined. But anyways, so about the theme. So I was kind of moving away from the noisy neighbors thing, like where the shelter in place thing is lifting. We're kind of getting to peek back out into the world, and hopefully it just seemed really especially appropriate when we were all kind of stuck at home. But so I moved on to a theme for May, which is the theme on rejection. And I had this idea today actually to kind of combine the two and share with you why I ended up making so many videos about dealing with noisy neighbors. And not only making videos about that, but videos that are a little bit different from what you find from other people, which is not about changing them at all, actually. It's about changing me and my thoughts and my perspectives and how I relate to them. And so I thought it'd be interesting to talk today about when I actually started doing this work. It kind of started out with me rejecting certain things. So I'm thinking specifically, I rejected a certain notion of myself. And I also consciously, deliberately rejected this idea that I needed them to change to be happy. And from there, I found that to be very liberating. And then I start to do the work of radical acceptance and love and all this other stuff. I don't think living from a place of, I reject this, is sustainable or healthy, but I think it can be a really cool place to be like, no more. Like, we let pain work for us in the sense that it makes us decide and choose and say, like, I reject that old way of being and I embrace. That's the key piece, is to move on to okay, now what am I embracing? What am I moving towards? But I wanted to just kind of go back and talk about what I rejected when I made these decisions to work on my own mind. And one thing was, I rejected the person that I was when I was still caught up in the idea that I needed to change them to be happy. I really consciously rejected who I was when I was stressed out and anxious and mad. I just didn't like it. Like, even if I could scream at them enough or get enough people on my side to make them change or to get things to be my way, I did not like how that felt in my body. I didn't like how I imagined if I was a cartoon character, I was that angry, old lady, just mad about it, It's not who I want to be. So I rejected that and decided to start fresh. Who do I want to be in this situation? And that's such a beautiful thing. We can do that every day, every moment in every day. We can decide hey, is this really who I want to be? Is this my highest, best self right now? And I don't have, I don't have to wait for those neighbors to be different for me to become that person. I can step into who that is now. So that felt good. And then the other thing I rejected was just the belief. Like I could go out and sign a petition and be like, hey, do you think my neighbors are being shitheads and that I have a right to be mad at them and that I should change them? And I could get hundreds of signatures easily, because it's a really commonly accepted belief that other people cause our feelings, but it's just not true. And so I really, drew a line in the sand and just rejected that. And so even though it's not a popular opinion, even though there's still a whole bunch of pushback around like, no, you don't have to work on your mind, just fucking be mad at them and I'll be mad with you and we can gossip about it and be mad together. I just rejected that kind of world. And a lot of people still choose to exist in that world, and that's okay. But for me, it was causing a lot of suffering, and I decided to try something different. And I'm venturing out into this wild, amazing, magical world of me choosing to create my own thoughts and not holding anyone else to blame for how I'm feeling and existing in the world, which is pretty radical and challenging. And again, I do a lot of coaching on myself and with other coaches, and I get help on this. And I'm super stoked to offer coaching for other people who are new to this work or just want a guide to help with it. Because it is challenging. Like, it's simple on the surface, but I work at it every day. But the results are stupendous. I love it. And then I just want to say one last thing about rejection. So I really want to be careful and cautionary and add to this idea about rejecting parts of ourselves. Like I said, as a beginning, that can be helpful where it's like, no more. Like, I'm a woman in recovery, and there was a point where I had to reject that life, and I had to look at myself hard in the mirror and say, fuck this, when I was in my addiction. And I said, fuck no, fuck this, I'm moving to something better. But I don't stay there, right? Like, ultimately, what I strive for and what I believe in and practice and hope and wish for everyone else is this idea to, reject parts of yourself in the sense that it's going to move you out of your pain and suffering and onto a better life. But then the practice, I think, is to be able to embrace everything. We're not inviting everything. We're not condoning everything. But I'm always striving to be in a place where I can, I don't have to push against anything. I don't have to run from anything. I can say, this is how it was. And I can kind of look at that with an open heart, and even with some love and compassion and gentleness and patience. And this really comes in handy as I continue to do this work, because I didn't just make a decision to be a better person and then all of a sudden I was fixed and better, right? Like, this is a fucking lifelong process, which I'm happy to be on, but it can be super painful. And I found, especially with less than stellar character traits of mine, or when I still fall into funky behavior that is not my best moments or days, when I feel feelings that feel crappy, when I have bad times, I don't have to reject those things, and I don't have to reject myself because I fell down or I made a mistake, and that's what I'm talking about here. I don't live in the sense of certain parts of me are just worthy of a hard rejection. I actually think there's a place where we can live where we're able to embrace and love everything, and even learning to love my noisy neighbors and start to have a sense of humor about the whole thing, and, accept reality for what it is and then forgive it. As Richard Rohr has said, he's like, part of what we're learning to forgive is just reality for being so absurd and hard to exist with sometimes, and accepting and forgiving the other humans for being humans. And none of us really know what the fuck is going on here in this life thing. But we're all, I think, doing the best that we can. So there you go. There's my thoughts today on rejection and also noisy neighbors. Let me know how it's going. If you want to shoot me an email about that, if you want to leave a comment, that's lovely. Again, Amanda Gold makes art at Gmail if you want to chit chat. And that's it for today. So thank you. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you Tuesday. Bye.